are now plugged into Hooked on Science with Bruce and Tony Khan.
And we're live.
What up, everybody? Welcome to another fantastic episode of Hooked on Sonics. I am one of your two hosts, Bruce over here, and over there, the brother from another mother, the Tone Capone. This week we have Type O Negatives Bloody Kisses, one of the staples of our childhood, and Red Cross, the Babes of Monsanto. Red Cross was a late 70s, early 80s band that was very influential for a lot of people out there on the West Coast. So, really excited to talk about these albums. And man, there's all kinds of music news and lots of catching up to do. But before we get to any of that, Tone, I just want to know, the people want to know too, how are you?
Good evening. I am good. I am wearing the Nosferatu shirt for this evening. I think it's quite appropriate considering one of the albums we're going to be reviewing, that you'll be reviewing, as a matter of fact.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And I think we're going to have a really, really, really cool episode here. A couple really cool albums, in my personal opinion, and I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. Once again, I'd like to take the time to tell you, if you like, comment, subscribe, uh, we'll probably send you out a couple stickers or something. We'll reach out to you, see what we can do. We still got those available.
Mhm.
Want to hear from you. You catch us on all of your streaming services, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Where else we at?
Let's see. Yep.
iHeartRadio. Uh,
iHeart, Amazon, Amazon Music. We're on that. We got a new subscriber on that today.
nice.
We got four new subscribers on YouTube. One more on Spotify and one on Apple today. So
Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't we do this? I've often seen channels where they'll sit there and go, if we hit a certain number, then we'll do a contest where you can acquire something.
yeah.
Let's do this. When we hit, say, 200 subscribers
Hmm.
on YouTube, we'll do a contest for a Hooked on Sonics hoodie. You've seen me and Bruce wear them here, and just a little nice black hoodie in your size. We'll get in contact with you on that, and it has an embroidered and Hooked on Sonics logo on the lapel there, and it's a zip up. So we could possibly even order it in a whatever, and that comes directly from us. We'll probably send over a couple stickers with it or something too. But we hit 200 subscribers, we'll look to set that little shindig up.
Yep.
Fair
Number
enough.
200 gets it.
Number 200 gets it. Well, I don't
So
know that number 200 gets it. I think we should randomly give it to somebody. We'll talk about all the
there you
details when that
go.
happens. With that being said, man,
Yeah.
dude, what have you been listening to this week?
Man, oh man, let me tell you. I've been listening to the brand new Jamie Johnson album. Fan fucking tastic.
It's
Probably one
on
of
it's on my list to hit, dude.
it is one of his best albums he's put out in quite a while.
I understand he's in some trouble with the law and
Yeah,
something with the devil's lettuce down in your area, dude.
I think it's a little more than Devil's Lettuce, but yeah, he's not. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's out of jail right now, but it does not look good for Jamie, who's been, he's been battling sobriety for quite a while. So
I'm hearing
hopefully,
I'm hearing it was a devil's lettuce issue. I didn't hear anything more than that, dude.
I
And
heard
t
it was
and
more.
Tennessee's got brutal laws on actual marijuana.
Yeah,
You got the near beer marijuana down there, but you don't have fucking marijuana rights down there whatso fucking ever. Not at this time. You guys don't even have medical down there, do you?
probably not.
Yeah, Tennessee's one of the rougher states on that, man.
Yeah.
Trust me, I
Yep.
know. I would never entertain the idea of going through Tennessee with anything. Kentucky's like that too. Parts of Kentucky are like that too, but I think parts
Mm,
of Kentucky are right, or I think Kentucky may be medical, and
hmm I
so
think you're right. Let's see. Also, Dwight Yoakam just came out with a new album,
God, I ain't heard that name in a while.
dude, and it's solid, man. He went to high school in Columbus.
Okay.
I believe it was East High School. He went to East High School. So
You know what? I think I recall something like that. Yes.
absolutely. And let's see. Obviously, been listening to Typo Negative, and of course, I always listen to Red Cross a lot. So listen to that too, and just the mods and ends stuff. So that's pretty much what I've been listening to. What about you?
Me personally, I was listening to a lot of like both of Dorothea Cottrell's solo albums, and I was listening to uh fuck, what was it? With some Wind Hand,
Hmm.
obviously because she comes from there. Was listening to some Church of Misery. Um, what else did I listen to this week? Something off the cuff, and I can't remember what the fuck it was. This always happens when we come up to the show, man. I'm sitting there thinking about all the things that I listened through the week, and I want to tell you about it, and I go, no, I didn't get to check that out. Um, there's a lot that I want to get into. I haven't heard the new Acid Mammoth album. I haven't heard um, the new Jamie Johnson album, and I've heard a lot of good things about that. Um, there's something else out there I need to get my ears on too, and I
Oh,
can't
I'm
think.
just telling you right now. 21 Guns on that fucking Jamie Johnson album. Oof, oof.
Don't influence my decision.
I'm just telling you. Oof.
Don't fucking impress me with your bullshit. I'm just kidding. Country, country isn't my big forte, and there's certain
Yep.
people that I like and certain people that don't. Who's the Chris Stapleton? I dig him. I think the dude's got an amazing fucking voice.
Mhm.
Uh, I like Brantley Gilbert. I dig that dude
Yep.
because I got to see that dude live, man, and he's fucking impressive. His whole situation's very, very impressive live.
Mhm.
And of course, old school George Strait, Garth Brooks, stuff like that. I can listen to a lot of that stuff. I mean, I'm even a fan of what's her name, Shania Twain. I've seen her live.
Yeah.
She throws a phenomenal show. So I've been blessed to see a lot of good shows. I've seen a lot of country shows when I'm not really a big country fan. So
We'll turn you around. We'll
it's
turn
not
you
it's
around.
it's not that I need to be turned around or anything, dude. There is stuff that I like, but it's just not my go-to genre. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? There are a lot of things that I like about the genre. I love Johnny Cash, always have. I mean, I can't sit and say that I've ever heard a Johnny Cash song I'd never liked, you
Oof.
know.
Here, let me
But
I'll turn you on to some stuff.
I'm also not very versed on his whole catalog, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
One of these days we'll get into that discussion because his 80s stuff, oof, most of it was bad.
looking back at the 80s, some of the shit that we thought were great wasn't really that fucking great.
It was good for that time.
It was good for that time.
Yep.
And we often see, where a style of music makes its way and makes a comeback. And I remember even early days of Suspect Earth, we started seeing some of that 80s resurgence with 80s sound resurgence with bands like Endeavor After and stuff like that. And if you're a fan of that music, still be a fan of that music, go out and support those bands that are still doing things. But the thing that's I've become really jaded with in regards to that is a lot of those bands are running around with barely any members. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or look at Quiet Riot. There is no original member in that band, and they're touring under the Quiet Riot banner.
Yeah. Is
Ah,
I'm assuming the only person that's in there is Rudy Sarzo.
I
That
believe so. I
yeah.
believe so.
And Rudy's a great guy, but
But how does the Quiet Riot name land in his lap and he's not an original member?
I don't know.
That's very, very
It
confusing to me.
it has to be licensed. Some family member is licensing it, and getting a kickback has to be kickback.
Yeah, but what kickback are they receiving, dude? They're not playing stadiums.
No, but say you get $10,000 a year, something.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't see how those numbers generate, but I also ain't been to a. I've for as much as I love that band, I've never seen them live,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
I decided I would probably never see them live after Kevin DeBrow died
Yeah.
because he
I,
was the voice of Quiet Riot. He's what made
Yep.
The band was great. Don't ever get that twisted, but
Mhm.
he was the first real front man that I fucking fell in love with as far as their stage presence and the way that, he was a powerhouse of a vocalist, you
Yep.
know. They would take Slade's fucking Come On Feel the Noise and just make it something. It's not oftentimes it's not easy to say that a band comes along and does a cover of another band's song and makes it so much fucking better.
Hmm.
Because don't get me wrong, I love the Slade version, but the Quiet Riot version's like on 11. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
So, with that being said, that Red Cross album had some covers on it too. We'll have a good talk about that.
Yeah. And also Typo Negative, that album had a cover on there.
I will tell you, I played that cover because of that album
Ha!
so many fucking times, dude. It was at one point it was my favorite track on the album.
Interesting.
Just because I loved it, dude. I love the creepiness of it. I love the fucking like it's just, you know, don't get me wrong. Obviously, we're talking about Summer Breeze, but when you take a look at the two twists of
You're
both of
done
them,
ruined it.
shut up. No, but anyways, you had that whole Summer Breeze makes me feel fine, blowing in the jasmine of my mind. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This really happy element, and then Typo does its Typo thing to it. So
It's typo thing.
yeah.
All right. Hey, what are you drinking tonight, my friend?
My friend, I am still trying to recuperate from the lung thing. It's been a fucking slow, painful fucking process, aggravating to say the least, annoying to say the most.
Hmm.
And we are still drinking on the non-alcoholics from our friends over there at Brewdog, and I am having the hazy alcohol-free.
Nice.
This is one of the ones that's usually in their lineup here. This is great for diabetics once again. Um, 20 calories, 2.3 grams of carbs. So this is something that I got turned on
Yeah.
from a cool cat, and we ain't cool cats anymore. So
Oh,
with that being said,
yeah.
I'll just say for complete respect to the whole situation. I don't want to go into details about it. It was a series of unfortunate events over a matter of time. Um, and sometimes I'm not a nice person. uh, I own that to myself. So with that being said, the nomads are currently on suspension. We don't know. I don't know what I'm going to be doing with that project for now, and it's unfortunate. No, no, you know, what's been said's been said, and sometimes people just aren't on. They just don't work out.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. Um, but I wish no ill will. Um, even though there were some pretty harsh things that were said, even on my part. So, with that being said,
Yep.
I'll leave it at that. It's in suspension. It was great. Some good stuff was put together. Don't know what I'm going to do as far as what I want to do with that stuff. If I want to continue to do anything with that stuff, I've got a lot of people that would love to have the opportunity to, possibly work together. But at this point, I don't know if I want to do anything musically other than work by myself. So,
There you go. All right.
other than that, I don't want to make it a dreadful thing here. I think we've got a really cool opportunity to do some cool things. You got anything on the news, man?
Well, yeah. Well, first, let me tell you what I'm wetting my whistle with. Thanks for
Oh,
stealing
well,
my thunder.
sorry about that. I didn't get to rate this either.
Sorry.
So I didn't get to rate this either. Give me 1 second. Sorry. I get ahead of myself a little bit in my feelings there for a second. Um, of the lineup from Brewdog that are non-alcoholic, this is probably one of my more favorite ones. So I'm going to rate this about 4.25 if I haven't already rated this some point in time. But this evening,
Okay.
it's a 4.25.
There we go. Well, I actually got to luck out. We are coming up on Thanksgiving, and one of the things that Rhea really makes that's fantastic is this macaroni and cheese with bacon, and she uses Michelob's Amberbach to boil the uh noodles in and to put in with the cheese. Fucking son, let me tell you. So I got
You're
to
having
buy
the
a
Amber
12
Bock.
pack. I'm having an Amber Bock by
So
Michelob.
let me go ahead and say this. Of the Michelob lineup, I will still drink Mich Ultra. It's not my favorite, but I will drink it if the bar has it, as opposed to Budweiser and other shit like that, or Bud Light and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Amber Bock is the best version that's available, in my opinion, of Michelob as it stands.
Yeah.
Well, dude, hold on. You have to know something when it comes to Michelob and me.
Mm-hmm.
Michelob, the original mixture, the original Michelob was my
Mm-hmm.
all-time favorite beer, all time. And
Okay.
if you remember back in the day when you'd go to the store, you'd get a 6 pack of Mick. There was
Yep.
also Mick Ultra, Mick Golden Draft, and shit like that.
Yep.
And I've been through all those. That was my lineup of beers for a while. However, back in the day, you could get a 40 of Budweiser, 40 of Bud Light, and a 40 of fucking just about anything. But fucking Michelob came in a fucking quart. Remember that?
Okay.
It came
Nope.
in a quart shaped bottle. Oh, dude, really? I used to
No, I don't
kill
remember.
I used to kill 2 of those every night after work for fucking after working at Papa John's back in the day.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Yeah. So
Good
yeah,
God.
I couldn't help it, man. My bad. I can
So
when
yeah, I'm gonna give this thing a 4.5. It's just fine. I don't get to drink it too often because I don't
it's
see it.
seasonal.
I don't see it as much. Yeah, it's seasonal,
I'm pretty
and
sure it's
I'm glad the
seasonal.
season's here. Yep.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned the mac and cheese thing. Well, I don't mean to sidestep us off of music or anything, but one of the things I'm known for is in my household, I make a great macaroni and cheese, a phenomenal macaroni and cheese. And sometimes, a lot of times, there's none left over. So we did our Thanksgiving with the kids this week, or this past week, and I made a big fucking full pan of it. Not as many people showed up as we thought. We were missing a few people, but I had enough of it left over that I went to the store yesterday and picked up Kroger's had lobster tails, 4 to 6 ounce lobster tails for about $6 a pop. So I grabbed about 5 of them and was like, I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna saute these lobster tails up, some nice butter, seafood seasoning, throw it into the mac and cheese and put it in the oven and heat it up and do lobster mac and cheese. And that's what we had for dinner last night. And let me tell you something, buddy. I like lobster mac and cheese.
There you go.
It was pretty fucking good, man. Shout out to Dano's C seasoning that assisted with that. That shit is, if you ain't tried the Dano's stuff, man, you want to avoid a lot of your sodium and shit. That shit's fucking. You ever use the Dano's shit?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the spicy a lot.
Damn. Cool.
Cool.
All right.
News.
All right. Well, earlier we were talking about mental health and, Quiet Riot and everything. Today, in this day, 1983, they reached #1, and it is considered the first metal album to go #1. However, here's a caveat, a little discussion piece for you. AC/DC actually went #1 in 1981 with For Those About to Rock. My question to you is AC/DC metal?
Damn.
Especially if they're lumping Quiet Riot as metal?
So when did Metal Health go #1?
83.
And then for
For
those
those
about to rock.
81.
And here's the thing, dude. This is very hard to say because if you take a look at the songs as what they are, right? They're both anthems. They
Mhm.
are both anthems.
Mhm.
You play for those about to rock in any situation, stadium situation, motherfuckers, you're going to see motherfuckers across the crowd going, fire, every time that shit goes down. Quiet Riot, same situation. It's an anthem.
Mhm. But is AC/DC considered metal? I say yes.
Man, it's such a hard call because wasn't Johnson with him at that time?
Yep.
I really feel so. So let me say this. I really feel, and I think a lot of people can agree with me on this when it comes to AC/DC. There were two eras of AC/DC, obviously because of the singers. You had
Mhm.
fucking Brian Johnson,
Yep.
come in the '80s, and we lost fucking
Bon Scott.
Bon Scott, in late '70s. And I always look at it like this: the stuff that happened with Bon Scott was probably more along the lines of rock and roll, hard rock.
Mhm.
When they brought Brian Johnson in, I think it went from more of a rock and roll situation to a hard rock slash metal situation. I mean, I think by the time they had reached the Razor's Edge album, it was hard to refute the fact that AC/DC could be considered metal.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
So at that point in time, do we really consider that the first metal album because that would go number one? Well, what about albums like Black Sabbath? Did Black Sabbath never go number one?
Nope.
Because that's the forefathers of fucking metal,
Mhm.
or even fucking Led Zeppelin.
Mhm.
Me personally, just me personally, I would always cite that what really made metal was a culmination of what was going on between Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin at that time. They would lay the groundwork for everything in every genre that would span metal.
Right. But I would not classify Led Zeppelin as metal
You're out of your mind.
at all.
You're
No.
out of your mind.
Hard rock? Maybe.
You're out of your mind.
Class. Yeah.
I'll give I'll
It's
give
not.
I'll give
It's
I'll give
not
I'll give I'll give,
metal.
I'll give you one song and
Mm.
refute that song.
Okay.
Immigrant Song. Dun, 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 dun.
Yep. Yeah.
I,
Over the hills and far away. There you go. You countered that. It brought
there,
him
there,
back to
there, there,
fucking
there,
Barry Manilow. Stop it.
there isn't this over the countering it, man. It's not, you can't say there weren't metal
But not
elements to
every.
Led
But not
Zeppelin,
every.
dude.
No, but not every Zeppelin song sounded like Immigrant Song.
Yeah, okay, so let's think about this. Not every metal band sounds like fucking thrash metal, but you have those other
Right.
bands that do an epic prog metal sound, and
Right.
they would be what would set the fucking pace work or
Yeah.
the groundwork for what would be epic and fucking prog style fucking,
Right. But
in my opinion.
you cannot put Led Zeppelin under prog rock. You can't put it under thrash. You can't put it. You, there's no kind of metal you could put that under. You could put it under rock. You can put it under
Hard rock.
perhaps heavy rock, hard rock. Sure, but you can't put it metal. I don't think.
Let's ask the fucking fans. If you've watching this show this evening and you've seen this point,
Poll
please let us
question.
know. Would you ever consider anything or Led Zeppelin to be metal or not? We know that Black Sabbath's metal. There's no fucking doubt about that. Okay. You want to fight about that? We can fight about that because you're not going to win that fight. Okay. They definitely laid the groundwork for fucking heavy metal. Now, with that being said, on the other side of the fence, metal would evolve and do other things, such as,
Sure.
and Pink Floyd kind of laid that groundwork down, especially with the progressive side of things. Would I call Pink Floyd metal? No, but there are some very hard rock songs from Pink Floyd that are fucking,
There are hard rock songs.
metal bands have covered. Come
Okay.
on.
So Seals and Croft is Seals and Croft metal because Typo Negative covered Summer Breeze.
I don't know Seals and Crofts' whole fucking library, but I know that they rocked back in the day.
Come on. You are not making this argument that Seals and Croft might be metal.
It
Look
might have
at
been
them.
what helped to lay down the groundwork for what would become certain types of metal.
That's it. You're getting a Seals and Croft album next week.
Listen, I'll put it to you like this. Do I think Seals and Croft are metal? No. Do I think that there are metal elements to Led Zeppelin? Yes, they laid the ground. Well, like, come on, dude. You can't deny that Jimmy
I'm not
Page
saying
and lead guitar playing and fucking not
John Paul
John
Jones.
Paul Jones
Yep.
and what a John Bonham on
Hmm.
fucking drums did not have the what would set the pace for really heavy fucking shit, man. Come on,
Right.
look at
But they're
Moby Dick,
not
dude.
metal.
What is fucking wrong with you? Look at Moby Dick, dude. Come on,
Moby Dick,
dude.
a great song. Not metal.
Fans, you let us know. Is there any metal?
We're gonna find out.
Are there any metal elements to Led Zeppelin? As
No, that's not what the question
what's the
is.
question then, asshole?
Do you consider Led Zeppelin metal?
All right, we'll leave it at that. I can't stand you some days, man. Fuck you.
Love
Let's do
this.
these damn reviews.
Oh man, well, hold on. We got some a little bit other news.
Oh, you're fucking
Uh,
around. Is what you're doing.
no, just a couple more things.
You're
Happy
upsetting me
birthday,
on it.
Tina Turner.
Oh,
You can't get mad at Tina Turner.
never, ever. She is one of the most beautiful voices and not to be misogynistic in any way, beautiful women, an amazing set of legs, man. Watching her dance and do her thing is just, if you've never had the time to really take in some Tina Turner stuff or some Ike and Tina stuff from back in the day, she was a fucking power.
Yep. John McVie, the bass player for Fleetwood Mac. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
And last but certainly not least, good friend of the show, Keith Roth. Today is his birthday.
Mr. Roth, thank you very much.
All right, happy birthday, brother.
Happy
Also,
birthday.
we are getting into the holiday season, and Mark Mendoza has just released a Christmas single called "I'm Your Christmas Present," released today.
I am going to have to hear that because being a big Twisted Sister fan, Mendoza's
Twisted
one.
Fister.
Twisted Sister, sorry. Being a big Twisted Sister fan, I
Wrong
try to
show.
try to keep up with those guys. I'm going to bust you. Any other
And
news?
that, yeah. What do you got for news?
Nothing I want to speak on right now. I think there's
Okay.
I think there's a situation arising around a certain death metal band. I don't want to get into the conversation just yet. I'm just kind of keeping an eye on it. Maybe we'll find out more at a later time.
Okay.
But I don't have anything right offhand at the moment, man.
Sounds good.
A little bummed out I'm missing the Dope Throne show tonight. My buddy from Huntington, Destro. He's him and his son are up here, and we've
Is
just
he
missed.
bald?
Yeah,
As it should be. If your name's Destro, you got to be bald.
I
I don't expect him to be silver.
I
But you
want
gotta
to
be.
I want to say if I remember correctly, his real name's Sandy, but really fucking
I'd
nice.
go with Destro.
Don't be a dick. Anyways, he's a fucking great dude, man. We met at the Bongzilla show last year or this past year, and we've just been great friends ever since. I want to get him and his son and his wife up to kind of come hang out with us and barbecue and whatnot. We've tried to hit each other up through different shows. We thought we were going to see each other at like High on Fire and stuff. It just never really panned out. And
Yeah.
he's always coming up from Huntington, so
Yeah.
I even asked him, are you driving back tonight? Because if you're driving back tonight, you don't have to. You can come crash on my couch for the night, man.
Yeah.
So nice dude, really nice dude. I think he's a fucking awesome cat. And shout out to him and his son enjoying the Dope Throne show tonight that I should be at. So
Yeah.
other than
Well,
that,
good
man,
deal.
that is the motherfucking news, and it's time to get into a
Word.
couple reviews.
Yes, sir.
Who's up
Let's
this
see.
week?
I guess I'm gonna go up first this week. My album was a little bit longer, and so a little more meat on there. And quite frankly, I just don't remember who went first the week before or shit, 2-3 weeks ago. Anyway,
Doesn't matter to me.
it doesn't matter. So we've got Typo Negative's Bloody Kisses. This bad boy was released August 17th, 1993. We were but 16 years old at the time. Tony, when did you first hear this when it came out?
I can't say that I did, but I know some guys that went and caught them at the Alrosa. And thought that there was a fantastic show. I would forget about the band and not really check them out until I went and auditioned for another band that Skeet had pointed me to.
Mhm.
And I went down and auditioned with these guys, and these guys were really heavily influenced by Incubus and other bands of that type around that time, the Deftones and stuff like that. And I was kind of into that stuff, but it wasn't where I wanted to go musically. And while we were out driving around, hanging out with these guys at one point in time, somebody threw on this Bloody Kisses album, and it just resonated with me. And I had to find out who those guys were.
Yeah.
And from that moment, I knew I was kind of a fan after I started really digging and diving into some of their work. Their early stuff's very raw, very, very fun for me. One of the Origin of the Feces. I can't get. I just. It's a phenomenal album. Um, Everything up until Peter's death, there's something on every album, and I would say 2/3 of every album, if not the whole album. I love the whole. I love everything. I love the
Yeah.
early work that Peter did with Carnivore. If you've never heard any of the Carnivore stuff, it's really, really, really good. John turned me on to that a number of years ago. John Jakubowski from Suspect Earth. He turned me on to the Carnivore album a number of years ago, and it's pretty fucking good, man. Um, but I've been a Peter Steele fan. I love his vocals. I love his bass playing. Um, I love his philosophy on. He really hated touring. He just did not like touring, but he loved being in the studio making music. And a lot of fans, when it comes to Typo, often ask, "Was there anything left?" Was there anything that didn't, that could
Yeah.
be pushed together? And there's nothing. There's nothing. The band has said several times there's nothing. I mean, they might
Wow.
release some old demos and stuff with re-releases and shit like that, but there's no new material, man.
Wow.
And I'd venture to say that I would hope that nobody would ever fucking AI Peter Steele's voice into some bullshit,
Yeah.
because I want to remember it as it was. There was a lot of great material, and even if you can't get more, I wouldn't want something faked. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Yep. So I vaguely remember hearing these guys on the Blitz at that time. It was more than likely Christian Woman. That was actually the second single that was released off this album. There was a total of three. I vaguely remember it, but it was, it just wasn't, I wasn't really interested in it at the time. Um, now, if,
I could see how it could have been easily skipped.
and I will go into, you know, later on in the review, if they would have released something else, maybe I would have caught on to it a little faster um, than 30, 30 some years later.
Yeah.
So, well, anyway, let's see. This bad boy was produced by Peter Steele and Josh Silver. Um, First thing I want to say is the production on this was really good. The drum tone, the guitar tone, just the kind of general feel of this album in a lot of places felt like gave me like No More Tears vibes.
I could see that.
And I really enjoyed that because to me, No More Tears is a phenomenal album that I have a lot of like, uh, you know, fondness for just because of growing up with that as a kid. So it was good to have that little, just that sonic reminder of that era. So let's get into it, shall we? Uh, let's see. I'm not really going to give. So there were some interludes. There's like three or four interludes in here. I'm not going to give a review on. They weren't really music. It was just noise. You know, girls moaning. Who doesn't like that? It's just whatever.
Right.
So anyway, so the first song, actual song on here, is "Christian Woman." Um, this thing starts off at 8 minutes and 58 seconds long. Thank God there's a radio edit for this. Uh, that's the only way this could have been a radio hit. And it does, that edit really did help the song. There are essentially three parts to this song: the body of Christ, um, to love God, and Jesus Christ looks like me.
Right.
Um, all in all, I gave this thing an A minus. A little too long for me. It
Okay.
was a good. I think it's a good single. I
But
think
it
the
pa-
rate.
dude, but it paced itself well.
Yeah, yeah, it paced itself well. It's certainly not a. It's not a shit song. It's really good. Um, the the last part, the Jesus Christ looks like me. Where I'm at in my life right now, I'm kind of uncomfortable with that kind of shit. Kind of uncomfortable with that. Uh, what? Oh shit! What's the big word I'm trying to think of? With that
Blasphemy.
subject. I'm just kind of a little uncomfortable with it. Um,
Yeah.
but as a kid back then, I probably would have loved the hell out of it.
Right.
Loved the hell out of it. That part could have been cut. You could have cut a good minute out of that part of it because you just kept repeating it.
Right.
There's a lot of repetition. I'm like, I don't know. Seemed unnecessary, but whatever. A
Right.
minus. I really liked the song, all in all. Next up was the first single was Black Number One, Little Miss Scareall. This was kind of written as a joke, kind of a jokey thing about getting with a goth girl, and all their weirdness and intricacies. I really liked this thing. I gave it an A plus. I thought it was a great single. Um, let's see. I loved the little spoken word piece. When he started, I went looking for trouble, and boy, I found her.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. His voice is super creepy at first at the beginning of this. Um, I will say this. I really like when he sings higher, when
Yeah.
he gets out of that. I like that a little bit more from him. Um, like I said, I gave it an A plus. I really enjoy this song a lot.
Good.
Let's see. Next up is a little interlude. Fay Ray, come out and play again. It, it could have really almost just been part of the next song, which is "Kill all the white people,
Then we'll be free.
you were free." Uh, you know, great driving beat. It's a cool Sabbathy type riff about a minute in. It's kind of Sabbathy to it. Again, me now, I don't really like that. I don't really like that, kill all the white people piece. But as a kid, I would have soaked this shit up.
Dude, it's tongue in cheek shit, man.
I
Go
get it.
for it. Come
I
on, get
get it.
over
And
it.
listen, I'm not shitting on it. It's just like, okay, I gave it an A minus. That's the only thing. It's an A. I really
It's a
liked it.
fun song,
It's a
dude.
great fun
It's
song.
really fun song, dude.
Yep. Yep. It's a really fun song. Then it comes right into the third single, Summer Breeze by Seals and Croft. I,
I fucking love it. Get off it.
I,
Don't be a dick.
I,
I'll punch it. Go for him.
gotcha.
No, I'm listen. I'm not trying to influence his decision, but we know,
I ain't
folks.
scared
We
of him.
after 3 seasons, we know how Bruce is, right?
Yeah, right. I'm always right.
Uh,
Summer Breeze. I gave this thing an A plus. I loved how they put their own spin on it, but they didn't. They didn't totally butcher it. Like they didn't try to overdo it or try to overcomplicate it. It's a really good cover that stays close enough to the original, but like if they just release this on its own, and Seals and Croft never released this song, I could still see them working for them.
yeah.
You know.
Okay.
So, next up, "Set Me on Fire." This should have been a single.
Yeah.
I love the 60s vibe to it. It's very groovy. I love that organ that's in it. It kind of uncharacteristic of this album. If they would have released this as a single, And I heard this on the radio, I absolutely would have picked up this album back then. I really love this song. I gave it an A plus.
Good.
And so here we are. We are halfway through this album, and I gotta tell you, I was pleasantly surprised when I got to this point. I'm like, huh. Because when you gave it to me at first, I'm like, I don't know. Because all I know was his type
Right.
voice. I'm like,
But
okay,
for what they're doing, you understand why it fits. They're playing very low. You know what I mean?
right. But the one of the things I want to point out, there are other vocalists on here, and I love all these other vocalists, and I love Peter Steele's other ranges. I love the other stuff that he does besides the low stuff.
Yeah.
And I know that's what he's known for, but man,
Oh,
he's
he's got a hell of a scream. He's got a
yeah,
hell of a
yeah,
like when in Black Number One, I bet
yeah.
she will, and then he goes, she will.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like, dude, that's power, dude.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's great.
yeah.
So let me ask you this before I get too more into the songs. Was his I don't want to say I'm going to say shtick, but I'm not meaning it in a disrespectful way. But was he trying to be some sort of like
A,
vampire
a,
type
a
thing?
lot of the vampire thing came through.
Okay.
There's obviously very big elements of goth and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Like, I mean, there's a lot of goth element to Typo Negative, and to this day, you know, a lot of goth folks and women, especially women, love Peter Steele.
Yeah.
He was dude. He posed in Playgirl.
Yeah, I remember that.
And that was the reason that later on he wrote the song "I Like Goyles," because at the time, Playgirl was not only meant for women,
Right.
but there was another community, the gay community
Yeah.
found him to be attractive as well. And I guess, there was maybe some situations that put him in a situation that he ended up writing the song I Like Goyles,
Goyles.
Goil Goyles. So pretty funny, tongue in cheek. I think he went on Sally Jesse Raphael or something like that. There was an
Okay.
interview with him there shortly after that interview. And yeah, it was he did some really cool things, dude. And from what I understand, um Peter lived with a lot of depression, man.
Yeah. You
There
can
was
tell in his lyrics.
yes. He was not a I wouldn't say from what I understand, he dealt with maybe some depression, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he never came across in anything that I've seen with him. He never came across as a really happy-go-lucky type guy.
Now
You
there
know
are,
what I mean?
I mean, like, dude, when they went on tour with Pantera, there's a video footage of Typo Negative video that's out there, and they were on tour with Pantera, and you could see they were having fun and doing fucking goofy shit on the stage during the shows and shit like that. And there were times like that, man. But I think there was, in my personal opinion, and I could be completely off wrong. I do think that Peter dealt with some depression,
Yeah.
man. So that's just my opinion. I could be wrong, but with that being said, I don't think that it was. I think it's something that he dealt with.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave it at that.
No, you're probably right. So, then we got another interlude, Dark Side of the Womb. Um, about 30 seconds long. Nothing really to say about it. Then we go into We Hate Everyone.
Hate, 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 hate before love, one and all. You know what I like, dude? You don't even get it. I love the
Yeah.
motherfuckers, dude.
Uh, I put in here song for today's environment. Um, and it could have been 2 minutes shorter. It went on a little bit long. Again, a lot of repetition towards the end, and it's like I don't think it was needed. It didn't add anything to the song. I love the message. I loved most of the music in it, or gave it an A plus. Solid song, and just just a lot of repetition at the end was a little bit wearing. Next up is Bloody Kisses, A Death in the Family. Really cool vocals in this. Um, I gave it a solid A. Let's see. It's a very moving, epic song, creepy spoken word piece there. Um, and it's almost 11 minutes long. This one didn't feel like it was broken out into like different sections like Christian Woman was.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, it was a really good song. Again, just length. Length's just a little much for me.
And you know what? You have a real hard time with anything that you tend to have a really hard time with anything over the
If it
seven
doesn't
7 minute
progress,
marker.
if it doesn't progress anything, you know what I mean? Like if it's a jam, like I like a lot of jam bands, uh, and like if the music progresses into something else and they eventually come back to the core progression, I'm good with that. Uh, but just a lot of repetition, yeah, I get a little bored with it. So, again, though, solid A. Next up, 30IF. Do you know what that happens to stand for? Being the fan.
Not right offhand.
Okay, I don't either. Couldn't really find anything on it. Again, just another little interlude, and then goes into Too Late Frozen. I love the fuzzy riff, that fuzz pedal that was on that riff, and the gang vocals to start that off. Very grungy. It's a very grungy vibe to it. I gave it an A. I really like this song a lot. Again, probably could have been a single. Probably could
Okay.
have.
There was a lot of good stuff on that album, dude.
Yeah. Um. Again, I don't think grungy was what they were looking for. I don't think that was their core audience that they were trying to get, obviously. But if they would have released this, you could have got some crossover on this album for sure.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna before I give you my opinion, I want your opinion on Blood and Fire. What
No
do
more
you?
nights of blood and fire.
hmm
No more. Yeah, yeah. I love it. Dude, I love the whole album. This album is undisputedly my
Does
favorite type of
d
typo negative album to this day.
does that song remind you of anything?
Not offhand.
Okay. That is a straight AC/DC riff from the song Walk All Over You. Dun, 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 dun.
Maybe.
Yeah, this was Walk All Over You, and I was like, hell yeah. I dug it. I didn't feel it was a ripoff. They obviously, they did something completely different with it. Uh, Great, cool riff on this. The guitar sound at the about the 3 minute mark, that could have fit great on like a Queensryche album. Like that could have fit somewhere on Operation Mindcrime.
Right.
That guitar on that was really cool.
I could see
Uh,
that.
yep, I gave it a solid A. I really like that song a lot. Last was "Can't Lose You." It's a slow song. It's an ender. I enjoyed the sitar on it. A lot of sitar action on this song. I gave it a B plus because this shouldn't have been a closer. This
Really?
should,
I can
yeah.
understand that. I can understand that. But let me ask you this, because we often get into this conversation without
hmm
what would you nail if you had to pick one song off the album to be the closer and replace that in that spot? What would you do?
I would say "We Hate Everyone."
I think that'd be a good idea too. Hell yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I like that idea. I
yeah,
like that idea. That's not bad at all.
yeah. Because "Can't Lose You." I'm sorry. Yeah, "Can't Lose You." It's
It
a
could have
good
fit
song.
it could have fit in right around right
Right in the
where
middle.
right in the middle. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I wouldn't disagree with that
Like I said, I gave it a B plus. It's not skippable, but it is not one of those go-to tracks on this album.
for you.
Yeah, for me,
for you.
it's not a go-to track. Again, I really enjoyed the mellow piece to it. I like the sitar. I always like sitar. Shit, I've listened to more Ravi Shankar fucking albums than I care to think of. Anyway, all in all, I was really pleasantly surprised with this album. Uh, Definitely going to check out more from these guys. But having said that, I'm really kind of nervous about it because it is kind of the general consensus that this is their best album.
It is the Pinnacle album.
And I really, man, I'm almost afraid to get disappointed. You know what I mean?
So let me put it to you like this. Okay. We talked earlier about the difference between AC/DC, right?
Yep.
The beginning of Typo Negative shit was very raw, very thrashy, very almost like New York style punk hardcore in some way, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
They would progress into what became Bloody Kisses, and moving forward, they would go into those more darker tones, goth style tones and songs as they evolved, and the catalog would close out.
Hmm.
I think what was the last album? I think the last album had the single "Everyone I Love Is Dead."
That's a heavy.
If you listen to the song, it's super,
Yeah.
super. Have you heard it?
No, I'm going to though.
It's super fucking like he could literally talk. So well, I love my aunt, but she died, and my uncle Lou, but he died, and he just goes through family members and friends, and could just
Yeah.
I'm searching for something which can't be found, but I'm hoping I still dream of Dad, though he died. Everything dies. It's just fucking dude. It's Peter had a way of writing heavy, heavy shit for the soul, and listening to that deep, dark voice sound like it's in as much pain as it is. It almost kind of takes you back to like the pain that you would feel in early darkness of Johnny Cash songs and shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you could like people have a way of speaking to people and their emotion and pain, and I think Peter really kind of conveyed that a lot, man, in my
Yeah.
personal opinion. So I'm very happy to know that you're probably going to fucking give this album a great review, and I'm very glad that you got turned on to him. I want to ask you this, walking
Hmm.
away from it, do you feel like you were robbed? Like, because you just now got caught onto them and you know that their catalog is so extensive, did you feel like, God, man, I got robbed because I wasn't catching this shit earlier? Because I feel like that way with some bands sometimes. Like I go back and I find out a band that was really popular or was doing their thing back in the late '90s, and I wasn't listening to that music at the time. And then
Yeah.
these bands would be like, "Damn, man, what was like?" I was listening to Metallica, and I could have been listening to this too. You know what I mean? Do you ever feel like you've been robbed?
No, I don't feel I was robbed. Um, I'm glad I got to hear this album. I'm I'm definitely going to check out more, but I don't feel robbed. I feel pretty just I'm thankful that I finally got around to it.
They do
Like
gr
if I would have listened to this album back then, I don't think that's going to change my trajectory on,
what you
you
were
know,
listening to at the time.
yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, this was cool. Like I had a Marilyn Manson phase. Okay.
Dude, I was listening to Manson the other day.
I
What's your
heard
what?
his new album's fire.
Definitely looking forward to hearing it. I know that the new Dax Riggs albums from Acid Bath,
Hmm.
his solo album's coming along really nice. All these reunion shows make me wonder if we're going to get any new Acid Bath material, which would be fucking nice. So I mean, there's some good shit going on in the music industry right now, dude.
Yep.
Um, I heard Judas Priest's last couple albums were fucking phenomenal. Um, so I've still got to get caught up on that shit. there's a lot out there that I need to get to listening to,
Yeah.
and I've got the week off, so I'm gonna sit down and actually check out some shit this week.
Sweet, man.
With that being said, what are you giving this album?
I am giving this thing, and I've been listening to this thing quite a bit this week.
I'm so proud of you.
Just in bits and pieces because it is a little bit of a long album. I'm giving this thing. I'm giving it a 9.5.
It's a
It's
banger,
a
dude.
it's a really good album.
It's a fucking banger, dude. There's no disputing that. And I know how you feel. You're kind of scared, but just remember
I'm not
this.
scared. It's just like
Everything before this is a little more raw, and further back you go, it's really raw.
yeah.
Moving from this album, everything becomes more that gothic tone.
Mhm.
There's still elements of some really heavy, faster metal type stuff in there sometimes,
Yeah.
but it really follows along into that gothic tone until things go off. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Gotcha.
So 9.5, man. What a hell
Yeah.
of a fucking rating, dude. I was really hoping that you would love this album, because I will tell you, like I said, it's in my top 100 of all time, and I
Yeah.
love a lot of albums just as much as you do.
Yeah.
Okay,
Cool,
hey,
man.
well, moving on. I'm gonna take a sip of this beer. Get ready to do
There
this.
you go.
I had Red Kross, Teen Babes from Monsanto. Um, I like to give my preface on this album by saying this is a full spectrum evolution of classic rock, metal, and I didn't know what to expect when this album was given to me.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you.
Show everyone real quick while you're talking. This is the
Um,
cover.
this thing is only 7 tracks long in its original form. There is another version out there, like a limited run version that had some extra tracks on it. I did get to hear some of those extra tracks, but I'm not going to review those as part of this review. I will say this, I believe the album is maybe right around 22, 25 minutes long. So it's a very short listen. And one of the things I want to, kind of say off the rip is, um, because it's such a short listen, it's kind of disappointing. Um, but if you can get that extended version, maybe you can get a little more out of what you're looking for there.
Mm-hmm.
With that being said, I'm going to make no bones about it. We're going to have a lot of fun with this review. Starting with track number 1, please keep in mind, I would like to also preface this, that the all tracks on this album, except for I think the final track, are covers
Yeah,
of
except for Linda Blair 84.
right, which would be the final track, and we'll get to that.
Mm-hmm.
Let me say this. Track number 1 is a Kiss cover of the song Deuce. Um, I have heard a lot of Kiss covers in my time,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean a lot. I've heard some good ones. I've heard some bad ones. I've heard some great ones. I've heard some sad ones. This is probably one of the best Kiss covers I've ever fucking heard, hands down. And when I say this, I'm having a very hard time in my head kind of pulling one that I think is better. I gave that an A plus. Awesome opener for what is about to be laid down on the album in front of you. Awesome, awesome opener. I gave this an absolute A plus. I said great Kiss cover, one of the best I've ever heard.
The fucking guitars.
Don't get me started, dude. We're gonna go further. And that vocalist
Yeah.
sounds like he's having a lot of fun and he's not hurting himself.
Yeah.
I love it. Track number 2, Citadel. This is a Rolling Stones cover. Not familiar with this Stones song. However, I am familiar with a lot of Stones stuff, and one of the things that catches my eye when it comes to this singer and the band is they really know how to catch the essence of what the band they're covering is. Their singer sounds very similar in style and grace, of the person that they're playing. They're in that vein. Are they perfect? No, but they put their own thing on it, and they stay true to the emotion of the song. And I am going to tell you, knowing that I'm very familiar with Stone's stuff, I said this is another killer cover, even though I've never even heard the other track. I felt all of the Stone dynamic in this song. They had no problem making it sound like a Stone song.
Yeah, that song actually came off of Her Majesty's Satanic Request. That's a weird album. Um, 2000 Man is also on that. Um, and then Citadel's right after that. So, um, yeah, for if you ever listen to the original, you can definitely tell that Red Cross did a great job at keeping the essence of the original,
Yeah,
but putting their great spin on that.
yeah, and by way of comparison, you know, Typo did that. They did the
Yep,
cover of
Summer Breeze.
Summer Breeze, and while it isn't as upbeat and da-na-na-na-na, like
Yeah.
this happy-go-lucky thing, their version, even though it's a little more depressing or sounding and darker sounding, it still works and sounds great. These guys stay somewhat more true to the form, and they really catch the essence of the vocal style, the guitar playing, the just the overall essence of the song. I would love to see these guys cover Sister Morphine. That's my favorite Stone song.
Mm,
And because they did such a good cover on this, knowing that I'm familiar with Stones the way I am, I said another killer cover. So that got an A+ as well. So we're
okay.
2 songs in on a 7-song EP. We've got 2 A+. I just want to keep that out there, right?
Yep.
Track number 3, Heaven Only Knows. This is a Shangri-La's cover. And once again, I'm familiar with Shangri-La's. I'm familiar with 60, 70, 80 sound or 50 sound and stuff like that. Let me tell you, I wrote Shangri-La's cover on a roll. Another A+. These dudes just hit it again. Like, bam, we've caught the whole essence of the sound of the Shangri-La's and put our
Mm.
own thing on it. And it was fucking phenomenal. Track number 4, and this is a Stooges cover, and I'm familiar with Stooges as well. Um, this was my favorite track on the whole fucking album.
Really?
I gave this an A+++. I love the build up on this. I love the angst on this. I thought that I was listening to some great homage to fucking Iggy Pop, man. And I'm not, I am going to tell you, I said, love this track. Killer, killer
Mhm.
fucking track. A++.
Mhm.
I don't give those out
Yeah.
as A++. I also wrote beside that brutal track. Um, Track number 5, Savior Machine. This is a David Bowie cover. Somewhat familiar with David Bowie stuff. We're all familiar with, um, Space Odyssey and shit like that and whatnot. I'm familiar with a lot of 80s Bowie as well. Let's dance, shit like that. And a lot of, some of the stuff that he did in the 90s, especially like that track he did with Trent Reznor. So I am a bit of a Bowie fan. And once again, I think they caught the fucking essence of Bowie in this shit. So I gave it another A+, dude. I
Mm.
am 5 tracks in on a 7 EP fucking drop that's only
Yeah.
about 20 to 25 minutes long. And I have handed nothing but A+s to every song at this.
Yeah.
This album just kicks ass to this point. Track number 6, Blow You a Kiss in the Wind. This is an Elizabeth Montgomery cover. And I believe this is her version, and she was from Bewitched, as a matter of fact, you had pointed out to me.
Uh-huh.
Um, I love the vibe of this tune.
Yeah.
I love, I wrote a heart beside it. I said, the bass and the harmonica on this really, that whole area right there really kind of fucking nailed it home for me. And I
It
love this, dude. Just
the tambourine. I love. just that little bit of tambourine with that shit too. I mean,
Dude,
it was
let me tell you,
perfect.
this was a very fun song. I love this style of music, like Shangri-La's 50s, 60s stuff. A lot of people don't know. I'm pretty versed in a lot of that shit. And I still go see stuff like, I would go see an Elvis tribute. I would go see, I've seen for a number of years now, I've go see a tribute to Frankie Valli.
Hmm.
I love that style of music. I was a big fan of Sha Na Na back in the day. I didn't want to miss Sha Na Na and the Muppets back in the day when I was a kid. And once again, I gave this an A plus. Keep in mind, excuse me, this beer is not sitting with me well.
Uh-oh.
Anyways, um, 6 tracks in, all A pluses. Those were all covers. Then we get to an original, and I have to ask myself before I listen to this original, which I believe is an original.
Yes.
Um, if these guys can play, get these to different tones, match these different styles, and really catch the essence of all these other bands that they did such a wonderful job on. What do they sound like on their own, writing their own material? I am blown away that the album would end with a killer closer, Linda Blair 84. I once again gave this an A plus. I found nothing wrong with this EP whatsoever. The only complaints I would say are this. If you're looking for original material from this band, this is not the place to look because the album is laced with covers. However, because they do such a great job on these covers and catching the essence of those bands and their sounds, I have to give it a killer rating. It has to get a killer rating. And then seeing that they close off with one of their originals and it's a killer closer, we're going to call it what it is, man. Every song on here got an A plus. If I was able to give this album any dings, it would be the matter of it having nothing but covers on it, and it would be a matter of time. Very short. I would love to see how many other bands they could have caught the essence of, or heard a few extra tracks of their own on the album.
Hmm.
That's the only way that I can ding the album. But as looking at the album as a whole, can I really ding it? No, I can't. So this album gets a solid 10 from me. It would get a 12 because I enjoyed it so fucking much. I was actually
Yeah.
blown away by this album, and I appreciate it. If I could give it a higher rating than a 10, me personally, just listening to it, the production on it. I also want to say this. If you're looking for this album out on YouTube, good luck. It's broken up in different pieces. You have to hunt for a right version of what sounds like the album. Um, I couldn't
That's
find
weird. I pulled it right up
Uh,
this
um,
morning.
there was two different versions that I found, and it didn't really have the cover or anything on it. One was a lot of like it was almost a full listing of the re-release.
Hmm.
From that's how I got to hear the extras. But then there was
Gotcha.
another version that had what looked like a live video of them playing Deuce,
Yeah, but it wasn't an actual live video.
but it sounded like shit
Hmm.
compared to the Deuce version that I found the other
Gotcha.
the other way. So,
Gotcha.
with that being said, like I said, this is a solid 10, a banger of an EP, phenomenal cover versions of some great fucking songs here. Um, Thumbs up for me, man. This is a banger, dude.
Yeah.
Thank you for a wonderful album.
You're welcome. And I got to thank my buddy Johnny Hicks over at Lost and Found Records. He turned me on to this. He actually sent me the Deuce. He sent me Deuce. I was like, what the fuck? And I just went on a Red Cross deep dive. And the next album after this, Neurotica, it's fan fucking tastic, all original stuff. The stuff before this is even rawer and just really cool. And the original version of Linda Blair is on a little, like their first album. And then they came out with another album called Phase Shifter in the 90s. Fan fucking tastic. And they just came out with a new album earlier this year that's really good too. So these guys continue to just kill it. And I recommend that you just really do a dive on these guys because it's some fantastic shit.
Good. Good.
Let me tell you.
I will tell you this. I
Mhm.
definitely want to check out more, and I
Yep.
think that Neurotica album is probably going to be the next one I do check out. So.
Yep, I've got an anniversary edition of it. It's really cool. A couple you were mentioning back in 2015, they put out some additional tracks as a special edition. Um, One of those, there was four other tracks that they added. I'll Meet You Halfway, which was a Partridge Family cover. That's really fucking cool. It Won't Be Long, which is an early Beatles cover. Um, a Kinks cover called Fancy. I wasn't familiar with that song. And then Don't Turn Your Back on Me by Jackie D. Shannon. Um, their early 60s type thing. Really cool stuff. So,
I'll tell you this, man. Looking at this, one of the things I want to mention before we wrap this up and we give
mhm.
each other next week's albums. Um, I wonder where they came up with the track selection. I wonder what was in their head that they said, you know what, let's cover this one. You
Yeah.
know, because there's a pretty eclectic lineup of stuff where there's this evolution of different eras of music, and they just did a really good job of it, man.
Yeah. Now, are you familiar with the Casablanca logos?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is, I don't know if you could see it or not. I can't see over my head,
Okay, I see it. Yeah.
but yeah, it's a direct, a paying homage to the original Casablanca Records logo. So they love pop culture. Again, that's why they added that Bewitched, that throwaway Bewitched song, and they like Susan Day and the Partridge Family and shit like that. So, and Linda Blair from The Exorcist.
Nice.
Yeah. No, I would agree with you though. Solid 10 for me as well. And I really fell in love with this band mainly
Hey,
because of this album.
couple kick-ass reviews, man. Like, we haven't given each other a pretty crappy album for a while. Um, and it's not that we want to cut an album down,
Mhm.
but we obviously have differences of opinion. I think we really kind of gave each other a solid something to deep dive on looking
Yeah.
forward into the future, man. Because where can I pick up these guys stuff digitally? Are they on Bandcamp or anything? Or is there any place that I can
I've
pick it up?
assumed so. I mean, they're a major recording artist, so
I'll have to look into it, man, because I definitely would like to have some of that stuff laying around. And honestly, I think Kate might even like some of this stuff, man. It's pretty fucking good.
yeah, man.
Cool. So let's talk about albums for next week.
Yeah.
You want to give me yours? You want me to give you mine?
You give me yours.
So I have to ask a question. We've had a
Yeah.
lot of shows, and I'm getting to a point where I'm having a hard time differentiating bands that I've given you before or albums
Uh-huh.
that I've given you before. So I apologize ahead of time. Have I ever given you any album by the Sword?
No.
All right.
I've
With that,
seen the sword.
all right. With that being said,
Hmm.
I am going to give you the Swords, my favorite album from those guys, Age of Winners,
Okay. I've seen them open up for Nashville Pussy over at
the Rivari
um
Room.
yep,
I think you saw them with the Rivari Room. I've never gotten to see them. They
dude, me
split.
and Scott seen them.
They announced a split up like late last year or early this year,
Hmm.
and I guess they're back together. So,
Cool. Yeah, if I remember right, one of the guitarists was dating Karen Kuda, who was the bass player at the time
of
of Nashville Pussy.
Nashville Pussy, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Huh? Interesting.
All right, I'm going to, and I don't know, you might hate me for it, but I don't think you will because this is not rock, but this is um one of my favorite country artists that still has that old school vibe that's still doing their thing. and I would love to eventually get him on the show. Very, very interesting guy. And you are getting Dale Watson, and the album is called El Rancho Azul. And Azul is Azul, which is Spanish for the Blue Ranch.
I will look forward to that, man. It sounds like a good thing going on there.
Yeah.
And
I was jamming to that a lot this week too.
are you familiar with Sturgill Simpson?
Oh, dude, of course.
So this guy's kind of popped up in some of my feed here lately, and I haven't really had a chance to check him out. I figured I'd ask you about that cat and say, you suggest that I check him out.
Yeah, you're eventually going to get a Sturgill album or two.
Now,
He puts some good shit out.
now we also talked about earlier about Eric Gales and how you feel that he's an underrated guitar player. First things
Yes.
first, I want to tell you about your statement there. I don't think that anybody knows who Eric Gales is thinks that he's an underrated guitar player because stop, stop, stop. I don't think that anybody who knows who Eric Gales is, let me reiterate that, thinks that he's an underrated guitar player. I think the problem with Eric Gales is he's like Samantha Fish. Do you know who she is?
Yep.
Killer fucking blues player out there. And I just don't think that they're not subjected to the masses enough to gain the I would not say either one of them are underrated. I would say they are
Underappreciated.
I wouldn't say appreciated because people who know about them appreciate them. It's hard to deny the talent between those two people.
Mhm.
They're just not as well known. They're just not as well known. They're not. And I'm going to be honest with you, dude. I don't know who operates for these people and why these people can't get pushed to the forefront when they're becoming underground legends of their own time. You know,
Yep.
that's like I could sit here and talk to people 1,000 times in a day about James Thundercat Brunner. He is one of the most
Yeah.
phenomenal freaking bass players of his time. But
Mhm.
if you don't know who he is or who he's played with, or even having any inclination as to how this dude, you're missing it. He's a hell of a fucking bass player. Same thing goes for Victor Wooten.
Yep.
Unless you're a bass player and you understand bass and those circles, these are not. I can't say they're underrated people. They're just not. They're underknown.
Yep.
And it's sad because there's a lot of good shit out there. I wanted to see Samantha Fish when she came through, and I didn't get the opportunity to. I'm going to try to next time if she does come through. I
Yeah.
hear she's a hell of a fucking show.
Yep.
I would love to see Eric Gales just the same. I love guitar players. I always have. I don't own
Mhm.
fucking 12, 13 guitars because I don't like guitars.
Yeah.
I can't play like any of them, but fuck, dude,
Not yet.
working on it. We're
That's
working
right.
on it, hopefully. But with that being said, man, what an episode. What a couple great reviews. Looks like
Mhm.
we got some good albums coming up next week. I'll look forward to hearing your review on um, The Sword's Age of Winters, and
Mhm.
you're going to get my Dale Watson El Rancho Azul. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, please remember to like, comment, subscribe,
And share.
and share. And when we hit that 200 marker, we'll see what we could do to put together a contest for somebody to get themselves a Hooked on Sonics hoodie, maybe a few stickers, and maybe a signed picture of me and Bruce
Oh, yes.
holding each other's hand in the park or something. Who knows? With that being said,
I want that.
we can make it happen.
All right.
I'm Tone,
I'm Bruce.
and we are Hooked on Sonics. We will see you next weekend or next week.
Whenever.
Have a good night, guys.
See ya.